Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. Sorry, Kenny.
Yeah, it's your fault. Wasn't my
Hey, when he left,
fault.
he just the whole thing died down. So, hey, we got a chance to talk to Todd Strange last week about the I Am project. So, can you give us give us your take on it? Like, how was it recording with Todd Strange and Kirk and all those guys? Tell us about it.
Dreams always die with the sun.
Oh, Todd's a sweet.
Andrew's back again.
I'm the listener. I'm just gonna hang out and listen.
Okay, go ahead.
It was I mean, before we got together, this was all Andrew's brainstorm. This is all his brainchild idea. You know, he was friends with Kurt and those guys when he was living in New Orleans, and we were all drinking buddies. You know, back in the day, nobody drinks anymore, but so it was his idea to get us all in the same room and see what came out of it, you know. So I didn't know, you know, what to expect. I mean, I love Kurt, I love his music, and, you know, we all have a history together, a long history, you know, as far as knowing each other and hanging out. So it was just, you know, all right, so come up with some parts or come up with a song. You got 3 days.
3 days.
Whatever, you know. So, yeah, I mean, that's what we had, right? That's we had flights, and this is the time everyone had allotted. You know, Johnny's got his gigs on the side. You know, Kurt was going to fucking Europe in a matter of weeks or whatever. And, you know, I'm currently writing for Silvertone, my other band, and mixing and stuff. So I'm like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do here? So I have, like, in my phone, I have a lot of sounds and a lot of ideas, like, stored in my phone. Thousands of them for, you know, they go back, like, 10 years, you know. So that's what I did. I just looked up some ideas. All right, I got a couple of guitar ideas. And then I started recording a few and sending them to Kirk. And he loved them all. He was like, you know, all right, I'll just work something more for this. I sent him like half-finished ideas, you know. And I remember, like, I sent him like 2 ideas, definite. And the morning before getting on the plane, my wife came with me. I was going to sleep, and I was like, oh my God, I can't use idea number 1. I already used it in another song. I'm like, oh, and I'm texting Kirk, we can't use idea number 1. It's got to be number 2. I had no plans, no vocal plans, no vocal melodies planned for idea number 2. So I didn't know I felt like Kirk, like, he's like, I do most of our writing in the studio. So he was so confident, you know. I was like, well, this guy fucking writes all of his shit in the studio. I'm shitting my pants. I'm like getting on the plane. I'm like, oh my God, what if I go down there and it comes out really fucking hokey and stupid, you know, and I'm going to make an ass out of myself. And anyhow, I got off the plane, and we went to a rehearsal studio, and it was me, Johnny, Todd, and Kirk for the first time in a rehearsal studio. And we just started working on the idea. And, you know, I guess all 4 of us are kind of like from the same time zone, the same generation, you know, of rock and metal. And, you know, the language was just really easy talking to each other. And, you know, it just took off right off the bat, man, and arranging and everything. And still, you know, with music, you never know what it is until you walk out of the recording studio and hear it back, you know. And it all came together, you know, it came together. And even though it's a risk, you know, I was literally writing lyrics in the van on the way to the recording studio.
And there they are, right there.
So, yeah, there you go. And then, you know, there's a beauty in it in that there's no time to rethink things 80 million times, you know. So it's got to be pretty uncontrived, because it's right on the spot, you know, and it's got to work. If it doesn't work, that's it. You're out of time. So, you know, there was an adrenaline to that, and there was also a magic to that. Sitting in the studio, even with Roger Lima and with Kurt and Johnny and Todd, and working the stuff out organically on the spot, even while we were recording and working out like vocal melodies and harmonies and stuff like that, you know. So it was an exciting experience for me, you know, and I've never, ever done stuff like that recording-wise. Even with all the years of Typo, everything was very plotted out and planned, you know. Before we got in the studio, we did a lot of pre-production, you know, and rewrote and all that crap, you know. So it was a new experience for me, and I really enjoyed it. And I think I really enjoyed it because it came out good. If it came out like ass, I'd be like, I'm never doing this again.
Now, Andrew, can you show the CD to the audience and tell them how they can buy it and where can they buy it?
Yeah, you know, I already pitched it, corpsepaintrecords.com. It's available now for pre-order. We're going to release it June 2nd.
All right, and where can they buy it?
It's going to be available everywhere. CorpsePaintRecords.com. Right now, you can get your pre-order, and then go, if you have a local record store, go in there and ask for it, and they'll be able to carry it for you as well.
Now, okay, so Kenny, did you
order.
write the lyrics to it, to the song? Did you write the lyrics?
Dreams always die with the sun.
I wrote the lyrics, yeah. Kirk didn't want to do it, whatever. I think, it's like anything else. We're musicians, so we're inherently lazy. So we're trying to pass the buck to each other. Oh, you sing this part, you sing this part. I wanted him to sing more, but he didn't want to do it. No. I mean, everything came out great, so I'm not complaining about it this time. Yeah, so yeah, the lyrics were like right off the cuff, and I remember being in the hotel room with my wife. I'm like, because me and Kurt were both like, it's not writing lyrics, it's thinking of something to write about, So I was in the hotel with my wife, actually, and I'm like, I don't know what to write about on this. So she goes, write it about friends cast, like friends gone, So
And by the way, I just want to interrupt you for a second, but that teaser really catches you. That 7 seconds, and I want more. And Kenny, your voice sounds awesome, good. Kenny. Like, are you a vampire or something? You never age. You always look the same. You go back to 2007, you still look the same. You don't age. What's your secret, man? Like, what do you do to yourself?
I really don't take care of myself at all. But I do use, my wife has this whole skin regimen she does, and I've adopted that.
Yeah. So, Kenny, I think it's, to tell you the truth, it's genetics. That's what it is. My mother's 87. Oh, my God.
On her face. So it's more genetics. It's like anything else. It's more genetics.
By the way, the Silvertune, Edge of Sanity. Fantastic. Dude, Kenny, you do everything. Yeah. Edge of existence.
Edge of existence. But Edge of Insanity.
The second title. What's going on with the new one? What's going on with the new Silvertune?
Right now, I am in the process of mixing and getting everything together. It's great, and it's all together. I think we might end up releasing it in 2 parts, like 2 EPs, instead of in this day and age blowing your load completely on a record, and then it passes in whatever a month, and then everybody forgets about it. Now in this new environment, people are like streaming. You want to have music, you want constant streaming or constantly releasing singles over a long period of time. So I'm thinking more.
Kenny, you do realize you have 150 people watching you right now speaking. They're just throwing love at you like crazy, man. These comments are going in fast.
That's why, dude, I don't do this.
Yeah, well, and by the way, Kenny, on behalf of us and the Friend Mentis, thank you so much for going live with us. Now, what's it like? Did Kirk sing backups?
Yeah. It was more like a dual thing, actually. He sang all the harmonies, the vocal harmonies, and then in the end, there's a whole counterpoint thing between me and him where he's singing, he's always I with the sun, he's always I with the, and he repeats,
Okay.
So, yes. Sing the backups and the counterpoint.
And tell us about the name, I Am. Where did you get the name I Am from?
Well, that's a Drew thing, because Drew named this one, he was like...
Yeah, and I covered that on our, when you had me, that I love that old school B-side band, the Seeing Eye Gods, and also whenever you say, I am, that's such a commanding presence, and I kind of intertwined the two of always loving that name, and then obviously I Am, I felt that this was a band that commanded that type of respect when you say that I am something. And I was those two things really, somebody asked about I Hate God because of the EYE, and, said, no, it's not influenced by that, but more of the Seeing Eye Gods, which was his psychedelic band that Brett Gurewitz did like in '85. So that was really it.
Wow.
And nobody
said
anything. I threw it out there. Nobody said anything. I kept going. I was hoping that somebody, so I was just like, I'm going to keep going with it. I'm going to make a decision and roll with it. We can always change it.
Now, Kenny, I want to know something. You used to be a plumber, and we just interviewed Johnny Kelly, and he talked about Harvey Santinus. Do you have any good plumbing stories you could share?
I used to do plumbing with Kenny. Yeah, that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask you if
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
true,
Kenny.
that Kenny was a
Yeah.
plumber.
I would.
Oh, I got a million plumbing
Please.
stories. But I'll tell you one thing, though. If you ever come about in your life to learn the trade of plumbing, tell no one that you know it. Tell no one.
It's true.
Please, sure. I would love to hear a plumbing story from you.
Okay, we'll tell you in this. My friend Bobby, who taught me plumbing, he was working for Harvey back in the day. This is a Staten Island plumber. And we used to do emergency plumbing in Manhattan. And he hated the job more than anything, you know, and he's passed now. But something goofy always happened to him on every job. And I remember once around 10 o'clock at night, we showed up to this lady's rent-controlled apartment. This old lady, landlord trying to get her out, you know, there's water leaking out of the fucking walls. So at like 10 o'clock, we want to go home. We're tired. We're exhausted. And I'm like, all right, well, you got to break the wall open there. So he goes over to the wall with a hammer, my friend Bobby, and he had this habit of like doing everything with his tongue half out like this. It was one of those people, you know, he hits the hammer against the wall. It's like soft plaster, and it explodes outward, and all these baby cockroaches fly out of the wall onto his tongue. He falls off the ladder. He's like, fuck this! I quit! I'm dying laughing, following around the fucking, you know, the old lady's like, oh my God!
That's great.
Now, Johnny used to be a plumber with you. How was he? Was he good at it?
Oh, he hated it. Yeah. But Johnny's like, you know, I call him Johnny Cup of Coffee because he show up, you know, 40 minutes late to the job with a cup of coffee in his hand. Well, you had time to go get coffee, but you didn't have time to be here on time. Oh, you know, he was way smarter than me, Johnny, in that sense that he hated plumbing, knew he hated plumbing, didn't want anything to do with it. Me, I ended up becoming, you know, a mechanic. I had my own van, and I tortured myself over it for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years before I swore it off. And now my mother still calls me because she still thinks I'm a plumber. You got to fix my faucet. You got to fix my shower. And I don't want to go. I don't want to fix anything. I got all the tools, too, which is even worse curse. You know, having the tools.
Wow.
I hate
So,
that.
all right, now what about any tours coming up? You got any tours coming up?
Not thus far planned, no. But I got to release music.
Who's putting it
before I plan
out?
out
Who's
any
putting
tours.
out your music? Is it?
Oh, not sure yet. Not sure yet. There's an option for my current record label to put it out, and they might not take the option. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So
So,
we'll see.
what about?
I might put it out myself. I might go with someone else.
So, what do
It's up to
you
them.
see? What's the future for I Am? What's the future looking like for I Am? You guys gonna record, tour? What's gonna happen with that?
Well, right now we're in the beginning of the band, and it's all fun and games, and everybody's happy. Everybody loves each other. So this is the best time. We're going to join night before it goes dark. They all go dark sooner or later.
So, Andrew, tell us some cool studio stories about having all 4 of these guys in a room together.
You know, that was the interesting part, right? That was cool to be a fly on the wall. But to Kenny's point, it was just really organic. It's almost like they all spoke the same language. I mean, literally, like when they were filling things out, I think Johnny mentioned to Todd about the beginning of the riff. He's like, oh, the bass should really drive that part. And then Todd, like, first try went, boom, you know, started driving, and that was it. And it just kind of felt like that whole process of, you know, what to do. It just seemed like it just fell into place. There wasn't really any, like, creativity faux pas or anything. It was just like one thing after another, and it fit. And Roger was really good. Yeah.
It was an understanding, yeah. It was an immediate
And Roger,
understanding. Yeah.
I worked with Less Than Jake, and I knew Roger's personality, and I knew Kenny's personality, and I knew that they would get along really well and be able to also talk that part, because that's obviously the recording process. And
Roger was great. Yeah, Roger great. He had a great ear, you know, and we thought alike, you know.
Yeah,
we thought we were along
that
the
was
same
really
lines,
cool. That
musically.
was really cool to watch that, because, you know, if you take Less Than Jake and Crowbar and Down and type all those elements, you know, that's really cool to see it all, you know, they're all musicians at the heart of it, and watch them just, you know, work their magic, each of them in their own specialty of what they did. It was really cool.
Wow. And then I'm so proud of this, guys. I'm so happy to see this project gonna take off, and it's exciting. It's exciting. Kenny, how long did it take you to do your vocals? for this song?
Dreams always die with the sun.
Not long. Well, we didn't have much time to do anything, but everything had to be done chop. So,
Yeah.
but it was really quick.
What,
actually,
drums?
right, Andrew?
Yeah, it was
If it
drums
took an hour,
first
that was a
day,
lot,
and,
you know,
and then
something like that.
second day was guitar and vocals, and then third day was vocals, and it was wrapped up. It was really fast. When you
Yeah.
think about it,
So I must have spent
yeah.
an hour.
Really?
on vocals tomorrow.
So yeah, all right. So it's just you and Kurt. Did you do any like layover? Like, did you do any lays of your vocals, Kenny?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I doubled my vocals, and I think Kirk did too. You know, and then we worked out the harmonies. You know what we were going to do. We tried out, you know, a number of different harmonies for it. And just picked the right one. You know,
Well,
collectively.
it sounds amazing. And also, Kenny, I also heard that Dead Again is re-releasing again.
Yeah, that's been a while now. Yes, it's was re-released, and now you can get it on streaming platforms again. I know it had disappeared. It was kind of like this flaky thing. It was on and off over the last decade. It would reappear and disappear on Spotify and such. So now it's up there. It's solid. You can get it. You can buy it.
Did you?
Yeah, they did.
You can stream
There's
it.
a
ahead,
bunch
man.
of cool. Yeah, there's a bunch of cool. They did a CD long. I'm a collector, so I like this stuff. So they did like a CD long box, cassette, very total like color variant vinyl. So no matter how you consume your music digitally, however you consume it, they covered it, and that's what I like for sure. It was all done.
So will the
really
I Am?
well.
So will the I Am song be digitally available too?
Yeah.
or?
June 2nd. Yeah,
Of
and
course.
we're all gearing up for that stuff. We have a publicist that's going to be starting, and we have a video that was done and shot by Mike Holderbeast that is in its final stages of being ready. So yeah, man, you're going to get the full package. You're going to get the full deal for sure.
The video came out really cool too. It was a lot of fun to do. We all flew down to New Orleans to do
The
it.
Joy
and we did it in this
Theater.
old theater. What was the name of the theater again?
Right on
The
Canal.
Joy Theater.
Canal
Really
Street.
cool. You know, and it came out really good. It's just live, you know, a live performance video. But he had
wow.
a drone above us too, recording. So it looks really cool. It came out really cool. I like
Yeah.
the colors and the lighting. And
Ate a bunch
that
of
was fun.
crawfish.
And I think that yeah, we had a crawfish
Yeah,
blast
I saw-
afterwards.
Go ahead.
So I think also that as far as the future and what we do with the band, I think we're going to be tentatively getting together during the summer when Kirk has a break from Europe to actually record much more.
So does that mean Kenny's you're gonna write more music during this dead time?
Well, I'm trying to prepare for it this time, yeah. And like so. The great thing about it is I don't have to finish anything. So I don't got to think about, I got this idea. Now I need a bridge. Now I need this. Now I need that. I need the lyrics. And, it's just, I don't want to, I don't have to finish anything. So it's come up with a couple of good parts that I love. And, and so I'm just compiling that stuff now. And I'm just going to flood the guys with it. And then it's going to spark something in their imaginations. And then we're going to take the giant risk all over again. We're going to go into a studio and see what happens. I think that it worked for this song, and it's one of two things: either we got really lucky, or it's a great formula.
How do
We're gonna find out.
How do you separate music for both Silvertomb and I Am? How do you separate the songs?
That's a good question because I don't know. I'm just starting to do this now. I'm like, wait a minute. I really like this song, but should it be for this band or that band? I mean, thus far. With the I Am thing and the Silvertomb stuff is like super dark, and the I Am stuff it's got a dark edge, but it's not as dark right now. So that's the only separation I can hear right now. So I don't know how I'm gonna, let's divvy it up. Whatever. I'm gonna come up with this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna come up with a bunch of ideas, send it in. They're gonna reject some, they're gonna like some or something. Some are gonna work, some aren't. Whatever's left over, I'll use
So does
some
Andrew have
vice
any
versa.
say, like, I like this riff or I like that riff?
You can shut up.
No, I get to say of looking at the schedules and lining it up and making sure that it all works out. And because obviously that's what you want. You want everybody to be comfortable. You want everybody to have fun because in a good environment, everybody wants to be there, and that's really what it is. So that's really all my point is just make sure that, that everybody's comfortable and everybody's having a good time. Because outside of that, when everybody's having fun, you know, everybody want to do that.
It is. It is very important that we're having a good time because then that's how good stuff comes out in the studio. You know, almost nothing ever comes out when you're pounding it for hours and hours in misery. You know,
Sure.
you end up redoing everything anyway. So yeah, the attitude and the environment and the relationship between the musicians is the most important.
All right, so Andrew, to you, what do you want? I am. Where do you want it to go? Do you want to play Whackin'? Do you want to play Kenny's Backyard? What do you want to do?
You know, I see all the above. I think it's going to be an extension of what the guys already do. You know, it's not, and it's some people are going to gravitate to that extension, and it's going to be able to sustain its own. I think it's going to grow and organically, and I'm just really excited. I don't think it's going to be something you're going to see like 3 tours in a year, but you might definitely see 30 or 40 dates in a year and do some big festivals, and then we'll see. But yeah, I think along that, because Crowbar's super active. Kurt's got a solo album coming out. He's with Kingdom of Sorrow. Kenny has Silvertomb that, you know, he wants to get behind and put a full package on. So maybe we can do a collaboration with all those. So there's plenty of options. So I just see it as an extension of what the dudes are already doing to give them another outlet, like to where Kenny goes, hey, this may be not Silvertomb. What is this? And then he can go play with it in a different mind and create something different. And then that's going to free up headspace for Silvertomb, and that's going to create some headspace for I Am. The same thing with Kirk. When you have ideas that you may not know where to place them, you now got a placeholder, which is going to create energy for the other stuff.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, already when I'm thinking about, I'm starting to write stuff for the I Am stuff now, and my mindset is different. It's more of a hard rock kind of like mindset than it is for Silvertomb. So that's definitely a different approach.
That's the cool stuff, you know, is because, you know, you get to have different flavors, and then some people like whatever flavor, and then it gives the artist is feeling happy because they don't ever feel like stuck, that they're like, hey, I got to I'm got to do the same job again today. It's like, no, I don't. I can do this. I can do this one.
Right. Most important, I was saying that to Kirk too. We were both talking about that. You know how like a lot of times your fans, they just want you to keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and this is just like another opportunity to do stuff differently, you know, and play stuff we wouldn't play ordinarily with our other bands, you know, in our other styles. You know, like meld 2 styles and come up with something new, you know. So that's very exciting about it. Very, very excited about that aspect of it, you know. Coming out with something.
And Kenny, your background is so like wide range, from New York hardcore to like gothic stuff to soft music to dark music. Like, what has changed in the past like 30 years that you've been writing music? Like, what's changed mentally for you? Taste of music, getting older, having children. What's changed for you?
I think that the level of excellence that I do it at, I don't want to do it half-assed anymore. Anything I do, I want to do to my highest possible abilities, you know. So that has changed in me more than anything else, you know. I mean, over the years, like especially when you're younger, a lot of times, you know, it's like ass in the wind and just going for it and jumping off of a cliff. That's how I've done almost everything my whole life, you know. Now I'm a little more, you know, all right, let me sit down, think about this, you know, do it the right way. I mean, not that there's a right or wrong way in music, but there is a level of ability that you're going to work towards, you know, of capacity. You know, if you shoot for the highest possible, it guarantees more and more, you know, how the quality of what comes out of it, you know. So I really don't like to fuck around anymore. I don't want to do anything half-assed. You know, I built a studio. I didn't buy any half-assed bullshit equipment. You know, I went all the way. You know, and it's kind of like how I approach everything now.
So what? All right, I want to talk about the Metal Injection live show that Silvertune did. How did that go about? Because it sounded great. It sounded you guys were all in different homes. How did you pull that off? How did you pull that off?
Oh, that was fun. Yeah. That was scary too. That was another thing because I didn't even have my full studio set up yet. You know, I had this whole fucking thing in a closet set up, and that, you know, obviously COVID fell upon everybody. So, and I was just starting to build up gear and equipment and microphones and stuff. So the guys basically, they sent me their tracks, and it was my job to mix it and make it happen. You know, and then obviously we had to film ourselves. You know, but it ended up. I stood up a week trying to get this thing to sound good. You know, I really put the hours and the time in, because, you know, look, when you got a deadline, there's nothing better in any kind of art or performance than having a deadline. You know, so I had to make it happen, and I think we did. We made it happen. It came out great. And I had a good time doing it. It was
so.
exhausting.
How many hours do you think you put into it? Is that like days, weeks? Yeah, correct.
For that one performance, it was a week. It was a week straight. Yeah, of me and yeah, you know, getting the right performances from me alone, and then also, you know, learning. At the time, I was just, you know, I had bombarded myself with a whole bunch of plugins from Waves and all this stuff. I learned how to use all these plugins and all this shit. You know, it was just starting to get proficient at Pro Tools, and, you know, it was right in the beginning of like me really pushing myself in the studio. And so yeah, I stood up for like a week straight. I maybe got like 5 hours sleep a night. And I was
Where is the studio? Is it in your home? Can you?
It's in my home right now.
Give us a tour of your studio.
I built it myself. Oh, you're looking at it right now. This is my current. So Rick for guitars, and my foot pedal set up right there.
Yeah, there it is.
Guitar.
There it
So I
is.
sit right there. Right. And then, you know, here's my I got my computer here. Here's my monitors, right? The other shit, and here's my I know you can see that. Hang out. Yeah, there's my rack, my 500 series stuff. So yeah, I built it all from scratch. I made the acoustic panels, everything myself, tuned the room.
So are you gonna record some songs and send it to the guys and see if they accept it from your own studio?
Well, this band, it's not going to operate like that. You know, I mean, it's going to operate as, you know, yeah, I'm going to record my ideas here. I'll put down vocals and guitars, you know, which I can really record well and send it to the guys, you know, a couple of parts, you know, I have probably like a verse chorus or a verse bridge, you know. Here's another idea like that. And then just try to spark their imaginations into finishing it or into some other new idea, you know, or maybe improving on the one I'm sending.
Wow. So it's a beautiful studio. It's an amazing studio. Now, I know you have...
This is my temple. I mean, I'm in here all the time. I love this fucking place, man. I mean, this is where I could come, and it's like a meditative state for me, you know. And then I could also delve deep into my music and hear it back and really, you know, improve upon it, and it sparks my imagination. And it's just great.
All right. So what do you like best, though, Kenny? Do you like recording stuff, or do you kind of like them both, or playing live?
My whole career, it's like I've been opposite of Pete Steele. You know, Peter hated playing live. He loved being in the studio. I hated always. I didn't hate being in the studio even from the Typo days on, but it was a lot of long hours waiting around. I mean, at the time, they were going back, like, if you go back like to the 90s or the beginning of the 90s or 89 when we got together, you know, they took a week to get drum sounds, you know, and sitting in the fucking lobby eating candy for a week, you know. So there was a lot of that back in the day. And then even I enjoyed certain parts of it with the pre-production and when we were doing production in Josh's house too, because it was a little more personal, you know. But so for most of my career, I really enjoyed playing live, because live you get this instant gratification from an audience feeding back to you, you know. And now, you know, I've learned to appreciate the studio more. Now I have my own, and I've gotten a little bit more understanding about the recording process and how to get a good recording. And so I enjoy it more, but I enjoy it when it's going well, like anything else. You know, it's like marriage. You love it when it's grown great with the honeymoon and all that stuff, you know, when you love that. But when it sucks, right? It's always work. It's all work. So like it's all got its fun, and then you hit this wall where it's just pure work. So, and live performance
Now-
is the same way.
I want to know, can you tell us a crazy technical difficulty of Typo live or Silvertomb, or what was the craziest technical difficulty problem you ever had on stage?
Oh, there was a great one with a Christian woman
Yeah.
when the power went down right before Josh's intro, and he had no keyboard. So he whistled the intro. Oh, it was hilarious. In front of 200,000 people in broad daylight. What a man.
genius.
What a
I know,
performer,
I know.
man.
That's so awesome.
So Johnny told us that you used to heckle Josh at the airports. I heard you did not like flying. Yeah, well,
He told you a
yeah,
lot. Huh?
John said you did
Huh?
not like flying. So tell us your flying stories.
I mean, I used to heckle him. Yeah, it's like if he met a girl or something like that, I'd have my acoustic guitar. How I used to handle flights back in the day was I drink excessively. You know, and they used to let you on a flight do it like that. Now today, forget about it. You know, so I used to take my guitar out live and start singing like love songs to him. But it was always based on Pink Floyd. No, Vera, what has become of you? But I would replace whoever the girl he was with at the time with the name Vera, you know? If it was Anna. Oh, I was a total obnoxious.
Yeah,
fellow.
Johnny's-
That's why I don't drink. Actually, it's not why I don't drink. I don't drink anymore because I ran out of my drinking cards.
That's hilarious. And by the way, okay, so John, all right, this has just been awesome, Kenny,
Yeah.
and I am just this is a great time talking with you, Kenny.
Hey, thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us
It was
here.
a great
It's
time.
my daughter's 14th birthday today. I took her to a Falling Reverse, so I'm gonna
Oh,
drop out and I'm
happy
gonna go do
birthday!
some dad stuff and get the party sorted.
So, all right. Well, then, all right. So, Kenny, I just want to know some things. Like, I know you toured with Danzig. What was that like, playing with Danzig? Andrew, I think you can. Andrew, if you
That
want to go,
was
I think I can take you out of here. Actually.
I'm saying, yeah.
Well, wait,
Oh,
he's
okay.
got to stay
Let's do it.
here because
Okay.
that's where I met
this.
him.
Yeah.
That's where I met him. This would not be happening right now
Think
if it
so.
wasn't the Danzig. What was it, 2008? True? For that tour, because on that tour, that was a very challenging tour for me because I had 2 weeks to learn all those songs. Not that they're not simple songs, but there was a lot of lead work involved.
John.
Figuring out all this
Yeah.
fucking John Christ, all that crap. There's another thing. I stood up for like 9 days straight, and I had to learn like twice as many songs that were in the set list because we kept asking Glenn what the set list was going to be. He just wouldn't give us an answer. So Johnny gave me an entire list of songs he might play. So I literally had like 50 songs to learn. I almost lost my mind. At the time I was smoking and drinking a lot. And what happened is I came down
What?
with full-blown pneumonia. Right? The 3 days before I got on the plane, I came down, I guess I loaded my immune system from the drinking, smoking, and the stressing about it. And the last night, the night before I got on the plane, every time I coughed on my couch, it felt like I was getting shot in my chest. And my wife looked up, she's like, that's like full-blown pneumonia. So I ended up in the emergency room getting the super antibiotic to knock pneumonia out of my lungs before I got on the plane. That's how I ended up showing up there with pneumonia. First rehearsal. And I remember going up to Glenn and saying, Glenn, I wish you would have answered us on what songs you wanted to play. I mean, I really drove myself into the ground learning these songs. I ended up with pneumonia. You know what he said to me? You know what this is? It's the world's smallest violin. That's what he said to me.
Yeah.
Anyhow, later on that night, we were at the La Park Hotel, and I don't know how,
Yep.
but I ended up calling Drew.
Uh-huh.
Right, we had just met. He
And
was
and
doing merchandise.
We started
for Glenn.
drinking, and
I got a bottle of vodka out. He came down to my room, and this is how we became best friends. We finished the whole
Listening to
bottle
the
together. We
Circle
slept till like
Jerks.
5 in the morning.
yeah.
I got annihilated. Yeah, there you
So,
go.
well, now you toured with Danzig back in '94 with Typo and Danzig.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
what
back
was?
in the day,
I would
sure.
love to hear some of those old stories because I'm sure Andrew told you, but we are friends with Christ actually.
Oh, cool. That was a
I
long
was-
time ago, dude.
I was
Come on.
17.
That's a long time ago, 94. But I remember he had his velvet Elvis poster in his dressing room all the time, and the guys were really cool to me. I remember we had this Jeremy, our lighting guy. Yeah, well, they call him Slissy, but I don't know what happened. But just to fuck with him, we taped him up with gaff tape. Totally, so we couldn't move, and we placed him in front of the girls' bathroom. And I remember at one point we had him on stage, taped up, and Glenn looked at him and going, "Oh, get him out of the way!" And he put his foot on Slitsy and rolled him off the stage. And I remember him rolling. I'm getting really hurt. Anyhow, we sold him to Glenn for a case of beer. That's I mean, this is one of our best friends too.
So, all right, what happened on the Pantera tour that didn't make it in After Dark?
Oh, I don't know. A lot of shit happened. A lot of shit happened on that tour, man. Did the squids in my boot?
I don't remember that part, but I remember Slitsy was really just you guys are all for. Peter was holding the catering table and just all that crazy shit.
Oh yeah, well yeah. There was the one guy that had a thyroid problem, and he would ride on somebody's shoulders during Pantera and us, and he's capable of popping his eyes out of his head. So he was like riding the crowd. He went over, close to Philip, went boing. Went, whoa, get that guy up here. And he ended up coming and finishing the tour with us, going on tour with us and shit, hanging out with us every night. Just because you could pop his eyes out.
Wow.
And then there was the one somebody threw up an entire full squid.
A squid?
On stage once. Yeah, a squid. Well, all kinds of stuff came flying up, during Pantera and us. And yeah, a whole squid. And then they proceeded to cut the squid up into small pieces. And then while I was on the next night, they came down behind me and started stuffing the squid in my boots while I was playing. I don't think that made the video.
Andrew, do you remember anything from the '94 Danzig tour that sticks
I
out
was
to you?
a kid. Yeah, I was a kid. I saw Typo the night before. I was 17 at a bar in Lafayette, Louisiana for $4. They were it was a day off on the Godflesh.
$4. That's why I'm broke.
And then the next night was the New Orleans show with Godflesh, Typo, and Danzig. Yeah, man, I was a super Danzig fan as a kid. Obviously, loved Typo as well. So as a 17-year-old kid that was into that stuff, that was the match made. You're too stoked to see those bands on the same bill. Saw it at the State Palace Theater in New Orleans, which I think is now a Home Depot or something. They said down on Canal Street or Lowe's. It wasn't far from the Joy Theater where we were about a month ago. But yeah, that was those first 4 records with on the Danzig one. Those were good, and that was the last run. I think I don't even think Chuck was on that. I think Joey was on.
Joey Castillo.
Yeah, I think Joey was in at that point when I saw it. Yeah.
I think so.
No. Okay, so did you ever see the original Danzig with Chuck back in the day, Kenny? Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I saw them open up for Slayer at the Felt Forum in 1988 when the first Danzig record came out, and we knew the record. We loved it. Me and my friend Tommy. So we went. This was the famous show where they not only tore up all the seats in the Felt Forum, but they rushed the barricade and basically took the monitors down for the band. So Slayer couldn't even go on and play. They couldn't even play. And Tom Marie, I remember coming up going, guys, you're going to have to back up or the show's going to have to be canceled. And they started throwing seats at him. They never played. But yeah, that's where I first saw Danzig live. And I loved it, and I loved the Sam Hain stuff and the early Misfits stuff before that. We used to go hang out in Alphabet City a lot back in in that era. And that stuff was on the jukeboxes, Nick Cave, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So we knew the music, and that's the first time I saw Glenn. So I was a fan by '94 when we.
So what do you think of John Christ's guitar playing?
I love it. I love his guitar playing, and of course I have a lot of respect for him because I had to learn this shit, fill in for that tour at that time. But I love it. I thought it was perfect for the band. I love the dryness of the distortion where it's not too over distorted. It was perfectly done for what Glenn was doing. And then, that's the thing. Glenn always did his own thing, and I think he had the right formula right there and then. I mean, at the time, you think about it, he had all these metal bands doing metal and the super overdriven sounds, and he had the birth of high gain amps was spreading everywhere, and they were doing the exact opposite thing. They were doing more of like a rock, drier, less distorted, less overdriven gain sound, which makes it harder to play too, by the way, especially the legato licks that he was doing. So I thought his playing was great.
Well, that's awesome. Well, listen, I know Andrew has a birthday party to go to. Kenny, you're a father. Kenny. How old are your kids now, Kenny?
Yeah, I don't got young kids like him. I don't have that. I'm done with that. I have my youngest, Aaliyah, she's 20, and my oldest, Megan, is 26 now. So they're both in college.
So what was it like when they were kids bringing their friends over and seeing the gold record on your wall, and they're like, "That's my dad's gold record. Come on, let's watch Pokemon." Like, what was that like?
Well, it's kind of strange over the years. I mean, a lot of times what happened with them is their teachers would be Typo fans and stuff, and they would find out about me or whatever, and then that would be a thing. So they've always had, like, throughout their education, a battery of teachers that ended up being Typo fans and stuff because of the age, I guess, the age group. Their teachers were about my age. No, that was always That was always a weird thing. To go up to open school week, and
So, well, listen, Andrew, before I let you guys go, Andrew, please plug everyone. Oh, by the way, guys, follow Silvertomb on Instagram, follow Kenny on Facebook, and follow Andrew. Guys, plug your stuff, please. Andrew, you go first.
CorpsePaintRecords.com is where all the Corpse Paint, and same thing with socials. It's all at Corpse Paint Records.
Yeah, and Silvertomb on Instagram and Silvertomb on Facebook. Silvertomb Band, and I have now my Facebook artist page up. I'm going to start an Instagram soon. It's so much goddamn social media these days. But come to my the artist page on Facebook.
Kenny,
there I'll post stuff about my studio, about the stuff I'm doing.
Now, Kenny, I sure would like to do this in the future. Hopefully, I can get you with John Christ.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Like by the way, here's the secret. John Christ was supposed to come today to surprise you, but he was busy. Yeah, we talked and we planned it, but his poor dog got sick, and John wanted to see you. He said, "I miss you," and I sent him Silvertomb stuff, and he is a huge fan of the teaser that I sent, so it would have been great to see you guys talk.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Next time.
That'd be awesome. Next time.
All right, fellas, take care and rock on, guys.
Appreciate it,
All
James.
right, bye.
See you, Kenny.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much,
bro.
guys.
I'll
All right,
see you
later, fellas.
Thanks,
Bye,
dude.
Kenny.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.
Dreams always die with the sun.
Mashed potatoes are great.